Hello, this is the Watchdog, and welcome back to Fun with Watches. If watches weren't fun, you'd only need one. Today we're going to review the Swish SW2311G. Let's start out with the wrist check. I'm wearing my Parnzarpi 7148, and Greg was wearing my Kern M8106. I still haven't reviewed this one, and I got it a long time ago, so I should get this reviewed soon. Gregory asked me if I could get him some Paranzani punch. I told him I thought he was a little young for that. He said he's 29 years older than the drinking age, so he thinks he'll be okay. Alright, let's take a look at the watch. It comes in this box. Comes with some foam rubber. Comes with the instructions. Comes with the unsigned warranty card. I had to take one link out. And it also comes with a sizing tool and a hang tag. Alright. But here's the watch. I got the two-tone. There's also a solid gold. Well, solid gold color, of course. And you can also get the solid steel color. But here it is. Actually, it doesn't look that bad. When it comes to ultra affordable watches, sometimes some shortcuts are going to be taken, and this includes fakery. And when I say fakery, I'm not talking about counterfeit watches that have logos of branding on the more expensive watches. I'm talking about fake features, timing bezels that don't rotate, screw down pushers that don't screw down, pushers that don't push, etc. The worst of these, as far as I'm concerned, is the fake subdial. And this Swish is indeed guilty, as the date subdial on top does not move and is permanently pointed to the 18th of the month. So basically, I'm not going to recommend this watch for that reason alone, but just because that is unforgivable to me, it might not be to you. One side note, if you look at the ad in AliExpress, it does say it is decorative, so they did not lie. Always goes to show you need to read the fine print. The watch is 40.6 millimeters if you measure at the flat of the bezel, but 42 millimeters if you measure point to point. 49 millimeters lug to lug. It's only 11.1 millimeters thick, so it's fairly thin. Of course, it's a quartz, so it has that advantage for that. Lug width is not applicable, but it's 23.5 millimeters at the widest part of the bracelet. And it only weighs 132 grams on the supplied bracelet with one link removed. Of course, it's a little light for a watch this big, but that's because it has hollow links. These are not solid, so it would explain why it's a little bit lighter. Normally a watch like this would be like 160 grams at least. The bezel is your typical Royal Oak octagon shape with coarse brushing. Of course, I'm sure the brushing is part of the alloy. They didn't. This is not brushed steel. I'm not sure what it's made of, but clearly not steel, and they don't say. Then it has this blue teak dial. The dial is actually pretty nice looking. There's no sunburst effect. You got the Swish name and logo on the left. Then you have applied loomed indices, and they're cut out to make room for the subdials. Then there's a chapter ring with sub-seconds, which doesn't really make sense because the second hand is on the subdial. I guess you could use it for sub-minutes. Then once again, there's a fake subdial on top. And then the subdial on the bottom, though, is the real subdial for the second hand. And then we have loomed hands, and as you look there, they got little curves on the tips, not points. And they're fairly short curves. And then we have a date at the 3 o'clock. This is the real date. This actually works, unlike the date at the subdial, which does not work. Have an unsigned push-pull crown, because you only get the basic 30 meters of water resistance. Unfortunately, the crown action is really loose, and when you go to press it in, there's always a little jump. So it makes setting the watch a pain, but at least being a quartz watch, you don't have to set it very often. But yeah, it's just difficult. A lot of these cheap quartz watches have that feature. The crystal is a flat mineral glass. Seems to do just fine, does the job. You don't expect sapphire on a $20 watch. The case is a chrome plated alloy. When you look at the AliExpress ad, one part of it says steel and the other part says alloy, so I believe the alloy. Plus, if you look at the bottom, it's all shiny, so that really usually indicates chrome plating, because why would you polish the bottom? Then the case back is just a press on, because once again, this only has 30 meters water resistance, just your basic. It says quartz movement, stainless steel. And then it says 3 ATM water resistance, which once again is the bare minimum. Then you have the Swish name and logo in the middle. There's not much to discuss about the movement. I don't know what kind it is. I didn't bother taking the case back off. I'm sure it's Chinese and it's cheap, and more than likely it doesn't have any markings on it, so I won't be able to tell you what brand it is anyway. But it's definitely not a Japanese movement, because then it would probably have a better crown action. Then the bracelet is a 3-link, which is not a true 3-link because it's not fully articulating. As you can see there too, that the gold coloring on the top is just the plate on the top. These are not solid links. If you look there, you can see the seams. And that's fine. It's a $20 watch. Nobody expects solid links on a $20 watch. In fact, my Seiko 5, which is a $230 watch, doesn't have solid links. But it's not a bad looking bracelet. But the butterfly clasp, though, is kind of, the clicks on it are kind of hard to do. Sometimes you get a little bit off. So it's not the most comfortable feeling or the most satisfying feeling when you click it. But at least it's a push button and not friction. And unfortunately, these links are fairly big too, which is a pain for a butterfly clasp because you don't have any half links. And so you don't always get the perfect fit. But since it does have hollow links, it's not as heavy as a watch this big would normally be. So at least you have that going for you. So the perfect fit isn't quite as important as a heavier watch. Here's the watch on my 7.5-inch wrist. Actually, it wears fairly nice. It's fairly comfortable. Once again, it's light for a big watch, so it doesn't wear heavy. And it just seems to fit my wrist perfectly. Once again, though, your mileage may vary because there's no micro adjust, so I'm just a coincidence that fits me well. Nobody expects great lume from a $20 AliExpress watch, but since I'm reviewing it, I might as well test it. As we speed up the time, the indices fade almost immediately. The hands are a little better, but not much. Overall, this is bad lume. What do I like about this watch? Well, it wears pretty nice for a big watch. I like this teak dial. And I like the gold colored bezel. It looks pretty nice. What are my gripes and groans? Fake sub-dial. What's my other gripe and groan? Fake sub-dial. And it also has loose crown action. The butterfly clasp doesn't latch very well. And the lume is just pretty bad. Do I recommend this watch? No. I am never going to recommend a watch with a fake sub-dial. And if I would have noticed that in the ad, I probably never would have purchased it. But since I did purchase it, I reviewed it anyway. Well, thank you for watching my review of the Swish 2311G. And I will be back with another review. Probably that Parsarni or Parsarpi, whatever it's called, on my wrist right now. Be sure and like and subscribe to my channel. Bye.